or you can do lips if you want. It doesn't matter what order you're going in. I'm just going to do eyeshadow. And again, I'm going to click on curves just to review how we would achieve getting sort of a green eyeshadow here. We would go into the channel that holds the green information, and in this instance we have a channel called green, so obviously we know it's in here. And remember, I said you click a point in the middle of the diagonal line, and if you drag upwards it will turn the color of the name of the channel, upper left, anything up here, and downward it would be its complement. So if I drag upward here, things get greener. Okay, so I'm going to cancel out of here, and we're going to go back to levels, and we're going to do that same thing. In levels, we're going to select the green channel, and again we're going to click on the gamma slider or the midpoint slider, and if we want things greener we move the gamma slider towards the left. If we wanted its complement, which would be magenta, we would move it towards the right. So I'm just going to move it to the left until I get kind of a greenish flavor there. And I think I'm going to mix in a little bit of cyan. Now, where is cyan? There is no cyan listed here. What's the complement of cyan? It's red. So that's where we're going to find the controls to get cyan. Now, if I drag this to the left, it's going to get redder. If I drag it to the right, it's going to get more cyan. And I also think I'm going to mix a little blue in here too. Might as well put them all in here. And that's pretty direct. Again, blue, if it's named up there, you're going to go to the left to kind of dial that in. To the right, it would be yellow. So we'll just add a little bit of blue here, and then I want to darken the eyeshadow. So for darkening it, we go back to the RGB channel, and just like in curves, when we went into the composite RGB to darken something, we would pull that downward. In here we would make it darker by going to the right. Okay, lighter to the left, darker to the right. So once you get these controls down, I'm going to click OK, and then the next thing that we do is invert that mask, because that created an overall color cast that goes all the way down through to the background layer. So we want to invert that with a Control I on a PC or Command I on a Macintosh to hide that flavor, that set of instructions. And we're going to just name it eyeshadow. Hit return, and I'm going to come in here, and with white to reveal that I've got to press the letter X, switch to white, and let me just paint a little bit of this color on here, get a little bit over here. And I'll do a filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And what this is doing is blurring the mask. And so it's feathering out that color nicely. And I'm going to zoom out here so you can see this. I'm going to turn that off and then back on. And see how it's just dispersing the edges to make that color blend in with the surrounding areas by revealing it that way. The gray pixels in the mask are like semi-transparent. They're partially revealing the set of instructions, which is to be green, bluish green. Now we can also, I'm going to come back in here and click my X and just tap in here to make sure there's no green eyeshadow in the eye. Now we can also make this a little darker if we want by changing it to one of the darken blending modes that are in this first group up here. And normally I'll go for multiply first to look at that, and look how nicely that sort of added a brownish tint to it if we wanted to have that. But let's see, in darken, sometimes One will do better than the other. Color burn gives you this funky red and yellow. Linear burn, a little bit redder. But I'm going to go back to just normal on this and lower the opacity a little bit on the actual layer just to give a little bit of color there. And now we can go for the lips. And I'm going to show you another way to mask, or another attribute of the mask, and it's called Quick Mask. Now, Quick Mask, how we invoke that is we come over here to the toolbox area, and at the very bottom see these two little icons here. We're currently editing in standard mode when that is outlined here. If we click on this button here, we'll be editing in Quick Mask mode, and what that means is that we can paint a selection. It's going to look very similar to when we put the masks in here in Rubylith or Emeraldlith mode. So I'm going to take a brush to select the area of the lips, but first I have to change the preferences in here, because I'm going to double click on this little icon right here that says Edit in Quick Mask mode. It's going to bring up a dialog box that yours probably, see, I've already preset mine, yours probably looks like this with red, and it will normally have the color indicates the masked areas. Now we want the color that we paint to represent the selected areas, so you want to check selected areas. And we don't want it to paint with red because the lips are red. We really want it to stand out and contrast with it so that we can paint better, so we can see our borders better with the 50% opacity. So again, click on selected areas for the Quick Mask options, click in the color box here to open the color picker, and then click in the gradient bar to select Emerald, and then click OK. And now I can just click and paint in the lip area here. Now this is going to go away in a minute when we do the second part to Quick Mask mode, but for right now, and I'm going to just zoom in, that's holding the space bar, control key, and clicking and dragging with my mouse allows me to zoom a marquee in here, and then space bar hand to navigate. And I'll just get this a little bit smaller, tap this in here and here. There we go. Okay, now what I want to do is exit Quick Mask mode, and when you exit Quick Mask mode, it produces a selection represented by those little marching ants, the dashed animated lines. And you can exit Quick Mask mode by coming over to the toolbox and clicking Standard Edit mode. I'm going to click Quick Mask again, and that gives you the Quick Mask. Or you can simply use the keyboard letter Q. Now once you have the selection running, what we're going to do is call upon another adjustment layer. And we're going to use levels, and this will probably be good for people with Photoshop Elements. And when you have a selection active running and you select one of these adjustment or fill layers from underneath this black and white sort of yin-yang icon at the bottom of the layers palette, it automatically creates the mask for you. Look up here in the layers palette. This is levels 1. It's just waiting for me to dial in something, but it's got that little white speck there because that's where the selection was. So it has made a pre-mask basically. Continue this series by going to part 6. Thank you.